Ndiyabulisa kuni nonke, igama nguThando N, and today I'll be following along this recipe on how to make a green salad with warm bacon dressing. Along with me in the kitchen, I have my measuring tools, that being my measuring cups and measuring spoons, and I also have my kitchen scale that I'll be using where applicable. Firstly, I started with washing all my ingredients that I was going to use for this particular recipe. I then went ahead and started chopping my coarse leaves, or better known as endives. Once I was satisfied with how my chopping was, I then went ahead and put it aside in my mixing bowl. You can adjust this recipe to fit the amount of people you'll be serving or how much of the salad you want. Once I was done with my coarse leaves, I then went ahead to work on chopping my baby leaves, my spinach baby leaves rather. As you can see in the video, I did decide to remove the stems and not include them in my salad because I particularly don't like biting into those stems. Once I was done with my baby spinach leaves, I then went ahead to slice up my cucumber and then also went ahead to cut my cherry tomatoes using the red and yellows. I decided to halve them, making sure that I'm careful of my fingers as the knife I'm working with is very sharp. Once I had cut and chopped up my cucumber and tomatoes as stated in the recipe, I then went ahead to slice my radishes and then went ahead to cut them julienne style. Once you have cut all the necessary ingredients, this is what your mixing bowl is supposed to look like. Then you can take your spoon or even your hands and mix everything in thoroughly. Following up, we have the bacon. I know the recipe called for bacon, but due to religious and spiritual reasons, I cannot use bacon. So I went with a beef substitute called Macon. This can be found in any of your grocery stores. I went ahead and sliced my Macon into 1 centimeter lengths and then decided to start slicing my green onion for the dressing. For the dressing, I measured out my oil as stated in the recipe, and I couldn't find my 10 milliliter measuring spoon, but I went ahead and made use of the 5, just doubling my scoops or doubling my spoons as necessary according to the recipe. I then went ahead and measured out my honey as well. I decided to mix everything in one bowl prior to putting it into the pan, just so that all the ingredients can be incorporated nicely. I went ahead and also used 2 different spoons for my granular mustard, as the spoon that I was using already had oil, so I did not want that to seep into the container. So hence measuring with a teaspoon first and then putting it into my measuring spoon. I then had to go in with my wine vinegar. This is me struggling with the lid, as I did not realize that I had to remove the seal first before opening it. I measured my wine vinegar and also placed it into the container that contains all the necessary ingredients for the dressing. Once I've mixed everything together, this is what I ended up with. I then went back to the stove to start working on my beef bacon, switched on the stove and put in my beef bacon pieces rather, and then decided to clean my working station. Once I checked on my beef, I realized that this bacon substitute does not render as much fat as bacon would, but it rendered enough to allow the salad dressing to be able to incorporate nicely with its oil and the heat. I warmed up the dressing nicely and then poured it over my salad once I had assembled everything. In the end result, I decided to serve my salad with a boiled egg just for some extra protein. Enjoy.